Hey everybody, Alvinator here from Mulligans and Hackers. Today on the pod we have Caitlin Birdies. That's your handle on Instagram, right?
Yes, it is.
Caitlin, where are you right now?
I'm actually in Switzerland at the moment, so as golf season's not very active at the moment.
Did you not just spend a week in Turkey?
I did spend a week in Turkey as the Clutch Tour Pro-Am was there, so it's a bit of an escape every year to get some sun and some good golf.
Nice. So let's go back, Caitlin, and when did you start golf? Uh, when was it something that came into your life and not necessary? Well, just when did you get into it?
Sure. Yeah, so I first actually got into golf when I was about 4 or 5. My parents actually started taking lessons, and at the time I thought, what are they doing? I want to see what that's all about. So I joined, and then I got stuck, and I was in lessons, did some trainings, and then I think I was about 12 or 13. And that's when I stopped because no one else was playing golf, like none of the girls at school, and it was at the time still very much a man's sport. So I stopped. And then I think it was last year of high school or the second to last year to high school where I picked it up again because I got asked to join the under 18s at my local club. And I also joined the high school team. And that's when I really started playing it again. And then, yeah, uni is when it all exploded and I got the bug again.
Yeah. So when you got the bug, um, again, how much time did golf take up in your day-to-day routine?
A lot. I think I went almost every day after class to the driving range at least, and maybe even getting 9 holes in. But then COVID hit, so that meant that I was playing practically every single day, 18 or 27 holes.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. COVID was a different time. Um,
it definitely was.
that's where this whole thing for us started was during that time. Because same thing. What do you do? And golf was one of the only things you could do over on this side of the pond.
Yeah.
And yeah, and here we are, 4 years later, still doing podcasts and still playing golf. And yeah, so I think that period of time was really good for golf as a whole because
Definitely.
a lot of people started playing it, and
Yeah.
maybe not everybody continued to play it after that time was over, but there's a bunch that did, and we're part of it. Like
Mm.
so, so now you got it. You play a lot. So was it just were you looking at trying to take your game to a different level and maybe do tournaments and stuff, or was it just still like a personal passion for you that you were just this is a game that I'm interested in just for my own personal stake?
Yeah, sure. So it started off as more of a personal habit, trying to see if I could get back to the level that I was before I stopped. But also just competing with myself, so trying to get my handicap down because before I'd never really done any tournaments officially or like handicap official tournaments. And so my handicap at the time was still something around 29, but obviously wasn't playing that. So it was really just trying to see how fast I could get my handicap down. And then I started doing like tournaments with university, which at the time was in the Netherlands, but it was more of a social thing. So that was a nice icebreaker into the tournament world. Then I went to London to do my last degree, and that's where golf was a little bit more serious. So there you would do tournaments against other universities. So I tried to do that as much as I could. But living in London with a golf bag and trying to get to the north of the country or something was really, really difficult.
Yeah, it's
But
something that we can't
it's
quite
just the way you do.
comprehend over here. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that type of logistical nightmare, I guess. Um,
exactly.
but where in the north did you play then?
I didn't actually manage to get up that far, so
No.
everything ended up being around London. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah. So
Yeah.
so you're done school and you're playing golf. So where does golf go for you after that? Because do you play tournaments now?
Every now and again, so not as much. So back in London, it was with the Clutch Tour. I did the amateur, some of them, which was really good. But here in Switzerland, it's more of the local club tournaments. But again, it's just trying to get used to the different way of tournaments being done. Here, it's very very Swiss oriented, I find at the beginning. So obviously everyone speaks German because I'm in the German speaking part. And I never really learned golf with German. So that's hurdle number one before you even get to the tee box. which it just shows how mental the game is in and of itself. But I still try to do, like you said, the one in Turkey now. And yeah, the Let when it's here, I do the pro-am with that.
Oh,
So
nice.
there's lots on the on the agenda still.
Yeah. Um, so you have all this golf. So where did the social media part of it come from? And
Ooh,
doing
good.
that part of it?
Yeah, good question. It was really because of COVID as well, just like you. But it was because I was in the Netherlands and I saw that lots of girls had gotten into golf, but didn't really know what to do or where to start. So I just wanted to break down that barrier a little bit and just show, golf is not a game of perfect at our level, and it's just fun to get out there, and to have that community. So I very much focused on just trying to break down that barrier of, you need to be really good at golf. You have all these rules and things. So that was the main reason of why I started it. But also personally, just as a bit of a diary to see how my swing was changing, how my game was changing. So really, yeah, two reasons that I started it. But yeah, COVID was
Yeah.
good in some ways.
And again, so I asked some of our previous uh, lady guests that we have, was
Mhm.
was was golf intimidating for you when you got into that tournament style of golf? Was the game intimidating for you back when you picked it up again? And did the game change? Maybe that intimidation change when you were a little more confident in the game?
Yeah, so I still think it's intimidating, especially when it's tournaments. You get to the range and sometimes you see these boys and girls alike just practicing and hitting these amazing shots, and they've got these caddies and they've got all these tools to do the swings and whatnot. And then I rock up, for example, with no caddy, no swinging aid things, and then I think, ooh, what on earth am I doing here? Is this the thing for me? Um, but it's very intimidating, and I think it remains intimidating until you sort of have your mental routine to go through and just remind yourself that you can do it. I remember I struggled a lot during the amateur tournaments that I did in England because I just thought I was the shittiest golfer. Even if I had like a group of girls around me playing in the flight with me, I would just compare myself to them, and then I'd have one bad shot and I wouldn't be able to recover from it. Um, Confidence helps now a bit, but I think it's still very much the mental game that helps.
Yeah, let's analyze that mental game, because again, this was my fourth year playing, and it was towards the mid to late part of this season where I actually had my mental breakthrough.
Mm,
Because again, I don't understand golf because I haven't been in it my entire life. So I
mhm.
always thought I should be better than I was.
Yeah,
Why can't you make this shot? Well, uh, our number one rule of golf is hard,
yeah,
right? Golf is very hard.
mhm.
When you play team sports, you can hide some deficiencies in your athletes. Golf,
Yeah,
there's no hiding. It is
nope.
there. It is you and that golf ball,
Yeah.
that little white demon. And
Mm,
I had a breakthrough where when I would go to the golf course, and I mean, this is years just going and
yeah,
having trepidation. Okay, how am I going to shoot today? How am I going to start today? Um,
yeah,
so you get angry on the golf course. You get trepidations off of the tee box. Your whole game is played in fear.
yeah,
So you have a decent day and you play the entire day in fear. You have a bad day and you play the entire day in fear, right? All
mm,
that trepidation is there, whether you play good or bad. So towards the mid late point of the season last year, I was just sitting here in the MNHD office, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go play golf today with no fear, just no fear.
awesome. Yeah,
Just go to the ball, hit the ball, go to the next
ex-
shot, hit that one, and just go make shots. Have no fear,
yeah,
enjoy the day, and really, truly, I know it sounds cliche, but don't worry about the score when you're done. Just worry
yeah,
about all 18. Just go to the ball and hit it.
yeah,
And man, when I went to the golf course that day, it was a different animal, like literally a different animal. And
yeah,
it was when I left the golf course, I think I shot a decent round, but it was like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being here today. There was no trepidation. There was no fear.
mhm.
It was,
Yeah,
and yeah, I hit bad shots. I hit a couple of good shots. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
just that mind switch of whether you play good or bad,
So what?
you
Yeah.
play with trepidation, or you play good or bad, and you don't play with that. Like that mental breakthrough for me towards the end of the year, the mid late part. I finished this. This was the first season since we've played 4 seasons, and I know, but you might think, well, that's not a long time, but we play over 100 rounds a year.
Yeah, it's a
We've played
lot.
a lot of golf in the last 4 years. Um, I finished the season for the first time this year. I finished strong.
Nice.
Where
Yeah.
my handicap continued to like maintain drop, I got it down to 12, kind of creeped back up to low 13s. But
Yeah.
my 12 is the lowest I've ever had, and I finished the year that way. And it was the
That's
first time
amazing.
I attribute it to that mental breakthrough, right? And
Yeah.
um, the mental part of this game is, boy, it can eat you up. Um, what what's your mental routine, or what do you think about the mental part of the game? How
Yeah.
important is the mental part of the game in golf?
The mental game is probably the most important part of your game. Like your skills, they'll always be there, whether you have them or not, they're there. But your mental game is something that fluctuates and that you have way more control over than you probably think. Um, Funnily enough, golf is probably the only time where my brain is probably the quietest because
Oh,
it's
really?
just me and golf. Yeah. But then obviously when it goes south, then I'm super negative on myself. And I actually noticed it during one of the rounds this year. I went with one of my work colleagues, and I hit a bad shot and I said, "Oh shit, Caitlin, what are you doing?" And he said, "Why do you, when you hit a bad shot, say your name? Like, why do you take it so personally?" And I think that was the moment where I realized, I'm speaking to myself in such a way that I wouldn't ever say to anybody else. So why am I letting myself do that to myself when it's a bad shot? It's not the end of the world. So then it very much just became a sort of breathing exercise where if I hit a bad shot, I would just take a few breaths. I'd maybe walk a little bit and just take off some steam, but then I'd forget about it and I'd go do the next shot. Whereas it used to just stick with me and I would take it for all 18 holes or however many were left, which is not good if you're doing a tournament. And it's just not fun, even if you're doing a normal round. So yeah, ritual of, breathing, thinking, not taking, a huge, blame for it. It's super important.
And again, my buddy who's not here with us today, Chris,
Mhm.
he got his handicap down to single digits this year,
Awesome.
which again, 4 years playing golf, and that's where he is, right?
It's incredible.
Um, but I started to pay attention to his routine a little bit more because
Hmm.
when he hits a bad shot, his reaction to it is 100
Yeah.
is totally opposite of what my or other people's reaction is to it. You hit a bad shot and you're like, oh my god, there's no recovering from this, right?
Yeah.
And his
Yeah.
reaction is, oh well, just go make a good shot now, or get yourself
Exactly.
in shape. He plays the game a little differently than I do. I'm trying to get to where he is,
Hmm.
but like he'll just go, okay, this is a bad shot. How do I mitigate this damage? And he doesn't talk to himself in that
Mm.
negative way, right?
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't say, Chris, that was a horrible shot. He just goes, well,
Exactly.
let's just go hit it, right? And
Yeah. Now we'll deal with it. Yeah.
yeah, and more often than not, he can recover. His recovery game is his scramble game is next level. That's why we make such a good scramble team.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I hit, I'm called the fairway finder, and because I don't miss fairways.
Yeah.
I may not be long off the tee box, but I'm 250, 260. But
It's brilliant.
my worst tee shot will be first cut type thing, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the hole, especially if I haven't played at a place before.
Hmm.
But watching him go around the course, and I've seen him shoot 90s and
Yeah.
react the same way as if he shot an 80, right? You know what I mean?
That's a skill.
and
Yeah.
and like I don't like taking things from him because we're competitive against each other, but sometimes you have to look at it and go, there's watching a guy go around the course just react the same way, no matter what the score is. There's something to take from that because this game can eat you up. And I've been into it like 2 years ago in my second year. I stopped playing when the golf courses were still open because I was so done with the game. Like, I'm not done
Exactly.
with the game that I'm never going to play again, but like playing so poorly down the
Yeah.
stretch that I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting any enjoyment out of this now. So
No,
I
that's
don't
very
want to
sad.
go. And now it's like it was kind of funny because this year, we were playing literally day the golf course was like, this is the last day the golf course is open. Because over here, they shut down in October to get the greens
Oh
prepped for
wow. Yeah.
winter, right? You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of work that goes into prepping the golf courses here for the kind of winters we get here because it can be so volatile
Mm.
with snow and temperatures. I mean, last year we got down to minus 50 for a couple of days. That's Celsius. Like that is ridiculous. Like nothing moves. Like literally,
That is
our vehicles are
terrible.
just big blocks of ice. They don't move. It was a wild couple
Goodness.
of days, but the golf courses have to be ready for that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, they do shut down in October, but I was
Hmm.
there right on that last day, like, and I'm like, this sucks that we're not going to be here tomorrow,
Not
right? Like,
fun. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because me and my buddy Chris, like, we play at least 5 times a week, if not six, right?
Yeah.
So when we're done work, we'll go play 9. On the weekends, it's 18 for
Amazing.
sure, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes, when our significant others are working or aren't available, we're playing 36 that day, right? 18 in the morning and
Awesome.
18 in the afternoon. And
Brilliant.
we have, and this was our progress, I guess, in the game. We started playing at a local course here. It's a par 66. There's only one
Wow.
par 5 and there's more par 3s. And it's an
Cool.
executive course.
Yeah.
And for the first 3 years we played, that was a great course to play on because you had to play a certain way.
Hmm.
Just because it was par 66 didn't mean it wasn't hard. For us right-handed golfers, there on none of the holes there was no bailout right. So you couldn't be a slicer as a righty and get around that course with any success,
Yeah.
right? But this year we moved to a par 72, one of the best, in my opinion, the best course in our little city of Medicine Hat. They play some amateur tours there, some junior tours there. It's a really what I call it. It's that pro type course, and I
Yeah.
think we were ready to go and play that this year. Where this course we've played it before, and hole number 1 is a par 5 dog leg right around the driving range,
Mhm.
and that hole for the first 3 years we played it was so intimidating, and I would get so psyched out on that hole every time we played. And
Sure.
this year when we moved to that course and we're playing that course, because we've played a lot of golf and now I have a little bit better understanding of my game. I wasn't
Mhm.
intimidated at all, and this was our best season of golf that we've had. Um, just the enjoyment of going and again joining an amateur tour and playing some events
Yeah.
for us. Me personally, above 50-year-old dude making his amateur tour debut, right?
That's awesome.
But again, that's experiences, and for us, I'll get your take on this now.
Hmm.
But for us, it's experiences now. We had our first. I mean, we just posted some videos on our YouTube channel of our first swings on the Alberta Golf Tour. There was 3 of our crew from our Mulligans and Hackers tour that went and made our debut on the same day. I have all the first swings on video. I had to have it for the social media, but just for this was our first swings on an amateur tour, right?
Yeah.
So for you, what was it? What's your tournament? When you're prepping for a tournament, how do you get ready for it mentally, physically, and even your equipment wise? Like for us, I mean, that day was not a blur, but I was hyper focused on making sure. And I can get into another story about our second appearance on the Alberta Golf Tour, but I
Mhm.
was hyper focused on making sure that I was ready to go when I got there. What's it like for you when you're getting ready for something like that?
Yeah, good question. Tell you what, the very first tournament I did, I was super focused on whether or not I had brought enough clothes, as in layers. So I was so
That's
focused on
something we're
that.
going to get into here. I'll tell you my story for the next one.
But so I was so focused on that, I forgot how many golf balls I needed. I forgot a pitchfork and things like this. It was so stupid, and it was very embarrassing. I played all right in the end, but so I learned my lesson from that. And now when I have a tournament and I have the time to prepare for it, I do go to the range as often as I normally would. I don't try to do anything extra, anything silly, especially not with a swing change. That's not smart at all. I've done that before. But it's really just making sure that the routine is there, that I sort of understand what my game is doing now. If I'm suddenly, doing a fade, then I just deal with it and try to adjust the game for that. Also, just making sure my bag is packed probably 2 days before, just to be sure. And yeah, making sure that the tees are in there, the pitchforks are in there, the clubs are clean, and then just mentally switching off the day before and not getting too worked up about it.
So like I play golf around here, and we've made some day trips outside of the city.
Yeah.
Like drive a few hours away to go play 18 holes. So you're never really where we are here in southern Alberta in the summertime. It's
Mhm.
hot and it doesn't rain a lot. So
Yeah.
take that for what it is. It doesn't rain a lot. So
Hmm.
when we started playing on the Alberta Golf Tour and we did the travel. It was 3.5 hours away um, for our second event. I guess it was more
Hmm.
like 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
So I pack up the bag, get ready to go. I look at the forecast. It's not really calling for anything, right? It's it's not going to be terribly warm. The further north you go in Alberta, the weather changes, right? So we
Yeah.
get there, and I have a jacket. Actually, I didn't even take my jacket. I just had what I had. I had my golf pants on and my golf shirt on.
Yeah.
It's like 17 degrees, and we're on the driving range, and it's like, yeah, there's a little bit of a bite to the wind, right?
Yeah.
So we get ready to play, and
Oh,
you know, I'm a Southern Alberta golfer guy. If it's raining, you just go home, right? Well,
yeah.
we go to Strathmore and play, and it starts raining.
Ooh.
Okay, well, I've got no rain gear. Like, I've got nothing in the bag when it comes to an extra layer of clothes. By the ninth hole, the skies have opened up. It is like
Yeah.
it's 8 degrees, raining, and I've got no extra layer. I am miserable. It is,
Yeah.
and again, these are the things you learn by trial and fire. Well, after that event, I made sure I had jackets, rain
Yeah.
gear, everything was
Like
in the
serious.
bag after that, and it was kind of funny
Yeah.
because people that listen to the pod, they've probably heard this story a couple of times. Well, bear with me. Um, you learn through mistakes, and what I learned doing tournament golf, playing on an amateur tour, was you have to be prepared for everything,
Everything.
right? And everything you need for the golf course, whether it's raining, sunshine, or snow, it has to be in your golf bag.
Yeah.
And I was caught woefully unprepared for that second tour event. And it got to the point where I think we had 4 holes left to go, and they actually called it because it
Mm.
started to lightning and you had to get off the course. But
Yeah.
uh, I was so miserable, and I mean, I feel bad for the two people that we were playing with. My buddy Chris knows exactly who I am, so he wasn't surprised at all that I was such a miserable prick. But I feel bad for the two that play with us because I was miserable. I've never been that unhappy on a golf course. Cold, like I mean, I was soaked through every stitch of my clothes, and
Yeah.
it was like so cold. And we're out there playing, and I think we got called off the course, and then we went back out, and it was just a nightmare event. And it again taught me so much about being prepped for the golf course. So it's nice to hear that you said immediately it's like having enough clothes in the bag, but your climate's different than where we are. Like, I don't play in the rain. It just doesn't happen when we're here, right? Like I think it happened more this year than it has in any other year. But
Mm.
like I don't go to the golf. Like I started bringing rain gear to the golf course, but I left it in my vehicle. I didn't even
Yeah.
bring it with me out on the course. It's like, well, we're not getting rain today, and if it does rain, I'm going home.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those type of things. Those again, experiences, right? Like we're
Mhm.
we're so looking forward to those type of experiences. Whether we do this social media stuff, however long we do it or we don't do it, but
Yeah.
we're going to look for those golf experiences for the rest of our lives. Until I can't
Definitely.
swing a club anymore, I'm playing this game. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the places that we can go, like you know, those type of things. So, what are you looking forward to now? Growing your game and experiences for you. What are you looking forward to? For you, I mean, you're going to play golf again for a long time. So, what are some of the
Mhm.
things you're looking experience wise you're looking forward to in the game?
Yeah, good good question. Not one I've given a lot of thought to be honest, but it's definitely something that every time I come back from Turkey, I think, right, I'm going to play golf more seriously. I'm going to do more tournaments and things like this, but then the time always slips out. But definitely experience-wise, I want to do more tournaments for sure. Just getting more of that pressure of, okay, I'm playing really well. I'm in like the top 10. I need to push through. That's something that I want to feel more often than I do now. But also just continuing to play with family and friends. I think that's an experience you really can't miss. A few years ago, I was playing with my granddad, who probably at the time was 92 and still playing golf. So it just shows how amazing the sport is and how long you can do it. So just continuing to experience those memories with friends and family.
For sure. Um, yeah. So my first tournament I played on the Alberta Golf Tour. I
Hmm.
actually finished second in my flight. I lost. I lost by one stroke,
Oh,
and we
goodness.
were actually at the clubhouse waiting for the last few groups to come in. And
Yeah.
it's my buddy is coming around. And he goes, you got a good shot at finishing first in this event, in your first. So after I finished second, but like when we did our podcast recap, I was like, dude, I was hooked from the moment we
Exactly.
got off of the because I played that was like one of the Chris. It's in our podcast. He said I never seen you play like that before. Like you were so focused. You're like
It's a different level.
it is a
Yeah.
different level. Like we played at a difficult golf course, and I shot an 87,
That's brilliant.
and we're like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you're gonna be right there.
Yeah.
And from the way I played that day, I was totally hooked. Like tournament golf, tour golf, tournament golf.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could get into that. Now, granted, the
definitely.
day after the tournament, because it was a 1 day tournament,
Hmm.
I was so mentally drained from trying to stay focused on. I think I shot 101 at our local course. Like I couldn't do anything right because I said
Yeah.
to the guys when I showed up, I'm like, guys, I got nothing. Like I got nothing up
It's all
here.
gone.
I've got nothing. I left it all at the course that we
Yeah.
played yesterday in the tournament. Like I am so drained. Like I could have slept for another 24 hours straight to recoup from that. But again, what a feeling. What an experience, right?
It's so
Like,
good.
and I want more of that. And I want to travel
Mhm.
a little bit, get some places in, like we were
Yeah.
talking about. You've obviously played St. Andrews, right?
Yeah.
At the old
It's the
course.
best. I did the castle and the old
The
course. They
castle
were
on the old
absolutely
course.
phenomenal.
So give us a little
Yeah.
bit of give us a little bit of insight on the atmosphere and playing the course itself there.
Yeah, it's absolutely unparalleled to anything I've ever experienced before. It's so much fun, and everyone that's around you is just so happy to be there, and you can feel it, and you're all just egging each other on, like, "Oh, that's amazing!" And it's just you don't get that anywhere else. And just walking around St. Andrews, it's this feeling you just can't shake it off. It's so quaint, and it's just a beautiful little place
We,
where
we,
golf is really ruling it all.
we talked about it a little bit before we started
Yeah.
recording. Like you know, not to get too much into the spirit world, but
No.
a place like that, like St. Andrews, the home of golf, it has its
Mm.
own energy. Like that
Yeah.
whole course has its own vibe that's palpable when you walk on it, I'm sure. And
Yeah.
for us, it's a bucket list course that we want to go and
Mhm.
play and experience. Because again, experiences in this sport, um, it's available to us. Somewhere down the road, we're going to get there and feel
Yeah.
that energy. And man, that's one of the ones I'm really looking forward to. Uh,
Exactly.
in experiences in this game, um, yeah, I'm looking forward to something like that. It's got to happen. It's got to happen in the next couple of years because
It will be amazing.
yeah, just to be there and just experience that energy is going to be something
Yeah,
special, I think. But
for sure.
so what do you got coming up in the near future in golf? Are you going to play anywhere? Any trips coming?
That's a good question again. Going to Ireland next year for the Open, so that's a huge, exciting trip because
When
I've never been to Ireland.
when is that one?
End of July, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be really good. It's Northern Ireland, I believe it was actually. But that'll be really good. So we went to the Open this year as well. We only had the 1 day ticket, but it's just men's golf is something else to women's golf, which is the only one I've otherwise watched. But just the atmosphere, looking forward to that. But just playing in Ireland, that's something I really want to do.
Do you have
Not
any
got any
golf?
courses, not any planned yet. So
Yeah.
it's definitely some homework.
Can you still play golf in Switzerland right now? Are the courses closed there?
I've actually not checked. I did indoor golf today,
Okay.
but I think they're closed and on winter greens just because it's so rainy and
Right.
cold. The snow is pretty much gone, so they might be open, but to be honest, didn't check.
Hmm. Well, you know,
It's a bit miserable if you do play now.
well, yeah, and for us over here, it's all sim for the next
Yeah,
5 or 6 months. It's all sim golf. We won't get
exactly.
outside at all. So depressing time of year. But anyways,
Indeed.
Caitlin, I really appreciate you coming on and have a chat with us and
Thank you for having me.
spending a little bit of time with us. And maybe down the road when you're done the open there, we'll get
Yeah,
to
of
have a chat about that maybe.
course. Be happy to.
It's awesome. Thanks a lot.
Cool. Thanks so
Take
much.
care.
You too.